Rachel, the current Superman comics feature Lois Lane as Superwoman. Would you be up for that?
Yes, and I've already asked about it.
Endlessly.
Interesting.
If you would tell me anything about this other thing that you're working on.
Yeah, he got upset.
I didn't get upset. I was very cordial about it.
He was very upset. He had a single tear roll down his eye because he was asking me what I was working
I
on.
heard them beating the shit out of each other in the bathroom, and I was so confused.
Ô, amigão, olha pra cima.
Thank you so much for your time. It's amazing. We have a very good view, very good weather here. And I was just talking to James that we met a couple of weeks ago in Mexico. You were there with John Cena. I was most excited that you were there. So in my mind, if he's here, the movie is good and it's all done. How close to reality was that? The movie was really done at that time.
I think we were all done, Michael. We were all done at that time, right? Yeah, we were done. So we were done. I mean, there might have been no, I think we were totally done. Yeah. We got done pretty, on time. I have to say, it's probably the first time I ever got them. I'm always under budget, okay? Always, except for one time, but there's a reason for it. I'm always under budget, but I always push the envelope with how far I get with finishing up my visual effects. Because I, just want to keep working on them. And so I usually don't get them done to the very last minute. But we got this one done on time, actually.
Well, James, you've done, I think this is your 5th Marvel/DC project. So it's quite a bit. There was a lot of talk online about test screenings, budgets, whatever. Did you feel like it was more pressure or more coverage interest than usual? And
I mean, I am being completely serious. Half the time they were saying there were test screenings and stuff, there was no test screening at that time. Half the time they were saying anything about the results, they were totally off. Like, people literally are making things up. It was the weirdest thing. And it's been like that the whole time with this movie. But man, for me, does that give me some pressure because everybody's looking at us? Yes, but it really is more exciting. Thank you, Rachel. You're my knight in shining armor. For people to have been so interested in this Superman from the beginning was, to me, a really good sign of, we had the potential to create something special.
Excellent. And Rachel and David, similar question, but we talked to you guys on the set and then we talked to you guys on the trailer launch. So now we're here at the launch. Is the whole cycle of the film. What was this cycle like for you guys? Was it tiresome? Was it exciting? What did it feel like for the whole thing?
Kind of just getting started, it feels like.
Well, but also, we technically started like 2 years ago, even longer. We had our screen test for Superman in LA about 2 years ago, almost to the day.
That seems wild to me. It's gone by really quickly.
And from there, I think it does feel like a long time. We had about 6 months of essentially waiting. We had some prep, and I was in the gym, and I know Rachel was in the gym too.
Getting ripped.
And then the shooting of the film was a marathon, despite the fact that it was a very efficient. I think we went 2 days over, again, for a very reasonable reason.
Over.
Which is almost unheard of for a movie this big with this many moving parts. But the shoot was, we got so much done. The movie is so big. There are so many different enormous set pieces, action sequences. You can almost forget in the shooting process about these amazing, huge dialogue scenes that we shot because they go so much faster. We shot a 12-page scene in 2 days, which is a lot.
It's of the movie.
Yeah, 10% of the movie. But only 2 days in an 89-day, 90-day shoot. And then some days we would do, a day of stunt work where you would get about 4 seconds of footage in the final film, but you're tumbling through the air and upside down and yelling and fighting and taking some real hits. So there are a lot of days. There are so many days that it's easy to forget a whole section of the movie. You're like, oh, I forgot we shot that, for 2 weeks. It's one of the reasons I'm really excited. Rachel and I have not seen the full movie yet. We decided that we wanted to wait until the premiere and have the experience with the fans and
You're so much more
screen.
patient than I am.
Yeah, well, so what's cool is that as the trailers came out, they were so amazing to watch, and the reaction to them was so exciting and enthusiastic. Sometimes I feel like I get nervous and want to see the movie early so that I can have my reaction early. I have this kind of confidence in the movie that I rarely have, which is that I'm sure I'm going to feel self-conscious about myself a little bit, but I think I'm going to have the best time watching this movie in a big theater with we'll have something like 1,500 people there and surrounded by the cast.
But all your friends from the movie have already seen.
Well, that's so our group text has told us what they think
Reading
of the
about
movie. But that's fun too, to get to hear their reaction and not judge it at all.
Now you got to stick to your plan.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's the thing is I usually don't watch my projects at all. And part of that is about preserving the experience of making. And I say it's flown by. I mean, you had a lot of tight suitage and other things to do than I did.
That's so sweet of you to say.
It's true. A little bit of a heavier lift, should we say. But there's something about being able to preserve the experience of making it, which I think has probably been clear to you guys, that it was such a phenomenal experience that we could never see the movie and feel just as proud and as excited by this thing that we've built because of the spirit with which it was made. And so it'll just be icing on the cake to be able to watch it with the rest of the cast, with our friends and family, and sort of put a button on that chapter. It just makes me never want to act again. But luckily, I'm so excited to see so many of the other parts of this movie. As I said, we had such a good time making it, and there were so many things that I wasn't present for. You know, we all have our little pockets of the movie, so I'm really excited to see some of the characters that I never interacted with. I'm really excited to see some of the things between Superman and Lex that I wasn't present for, and so that makes this one feel a little.
You're really good in this movie,
Thanks.
so you don't have to worry.
No idea.
Yeah, she was. And let's talk a little bit about the interview scene that you had, because we believe that we saw Superman's being kicked in the ass before, but that's where the real deal happens. That was an amazing scene, and I was just wondering how long were those takes, because we can feel the tension there. And the back and forth with the dialogues is amazing. It's well done. How was for you guys to shoot and to direct her?
Well, compliments to Henry Bram and your vision for the scene. Henry's our DP and our camera operator, and he and his team have this system where they don't need to. We didn't use a lot of dolly. I guess you with him
I don't use dollies.
don't use dollies.
Yeah. When I see somebody pull out the dolly,
The cameras are handheld.
get that off my set.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
but
it-
that's not true. I have like 3 dolly shots in the movie, but that's
But this long scene, usually you would end up having to break it up quite a lot, because when you're moving around the room, you have to change lights and you have to reposition the camera, and it's this big thing. The way we shot it, we were able to shoot. I think we shot the whole scene. We did break it up into a couple of chunks for certain shots.
yeah. Some of it it pretty much became 3 scenes, not including. I mean, there's this
Right.
scene which is in the kitchen, and then the second part we broke up into basically
But what
3
was
chunks.
what was so fun about it was that even in the 3 chunks, it was such a long scene. As 2 people who have a theater background, it really felt like doing theater. And what a gift. You know, there are other projects where you might break, because of how much movement there is in that scene, you might break it up into so many more parts. But James really let us run huge chunks of that scene over and over again, and then you really get to shape all the different colors of that dynamic and try things and discover new things in the moment. It was
And not only that, we actually would shoot, and you'd run through it, and then we go back to the beginning, and we'd shoot again, go back to the beginning. I'm like, okay, this, and then we go back and do it again. So there was always a sort of speed and an urgency to it. And we've Henry and I have worked on, we've made 4 movies together, and so we have a way to blanket light things so that the whole room is lit. And we have 2 or 3 camera operators depending on the scene, mostly 2 in that scene because it was so intimate. And then we have these little rigs, which are, if you know of the stabilized that were used in 1917, the first place that uses stabilize was on Guardians 2, and these are the same sort of technology, but they're small. So they're like the size of a small,
Remarkable how small these
and
cameras are.
and so it allows us to be able to move around and choreograph the camera operators at the same time we're choreographing the actors, and also allows us to be back and then also to become very intimate with the actors in a way that most rigs don't allow for. So, it's I love shooting stuff like that. I mean, it's and I think that the thing I miss today the most in modern movies, especially spectacle films, is such a boring, it's staging.
Uh-huh.
It's like, yeah, they take a lot of time with their action scenes. And then every time there's people, it's like two people talking and there's three people in a circle and they never move for all this exposition. It's like, I want things to be alive. I know that when I'm in a big conversation with my wife, say conversation, not argument, there's a lot of moving in that, and also storming out of the room and storming back and coming.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of movement, and I just wanted to have that energy in the scene. And the other thing it does for you is it breaks up the scene. So it's not like just one scene with two people talking. It is like, 18 mini scenes along the way.
And it's not just two people, it's Lois and Clark / Superman, because we can really feel when we watch this piece, we said, come on, they have the trio of all, not the two of you and Nick, the three of you are like perfect from the page to the screen.
Yeah.
Kudos for that.
Absolutely.
And can I just add, James, that you said that you had an idea that you wanted to shoot. That's the first thing. And how much did it change from this blueprint to the final project? Because when you meet the actors, things start to change as well, right? How much did it change from the script to the final product?
Not. It did. I mean, occasionally a line will kind of change a little bit, but that scene's exactly what it was. In fact, there were some things that sometimes we would make little changes, and I changed them back in editing because I liked something about the original dialogue. So it's like, yeah, no, it doesn't really change very much. What changes is the way the staging is. So what changes is the way it's like a play, really. I mean, it's the dialogue is a dialogue, and then we go and then we create the scene itself. So that changes. I think other parts of the movie are a little bit different. There's places in which things are different than what I imagined. But in terms of the story and the dialogue, it's a shorter movie, than what was in the script. You excise stuff that doesn't really matter. But it's exactly the script. Yeah.
Guys, I don't know if you know this about James, but he's very active on Threads.
Is he?
Yes. So we wanted to do a quick lightning round question. We're going to call it real life threads because
Real life threats. Good.
that's usually where you guys are going to be involved in this as well. Okay. So just 1-2 words, whatever you want to say. So I'll start with you, James. Is the big story in chapter 1 of the DCU focused on how governments react to how many metahumans there are?
No, that would be more a subplot. Yeah.
Okay. So David, do you already know when you're going to appear next as Superman?
No.
Okay. Rachel, the current Superman comics feature Lois Lane as Superwoman. Would you be up for that?
Yes, and I've already asked about it.
Endlessly.
Interesting. Good to know that. James, back to you. How many scripts featuring Batman do you expect to read in the next couple of months?
2.
I'm writing a lot of Batman fan fiction that I'm presenting to Dan, so he'll have to sift through those at some point.
Interesting. And I'll finish with this to end the lightning round. What's the best Brazilian food you've tasted so far?
Oh, okay. So I had yesterday, we went to this restaurant in the trees that was incredible. And we had hearts of palm, like grilled, and it was huge. And it's one of the best things I've ever eaten in my entire life. And I'm a food person, so every time I go to a different city, I eat at some of the good restaurants. I've eaten a lot of Brazilian food in other cities. But that was something totally new to me that I didn't even know existed.
That's good.
I watched the Flash movie and I loved it. But a lot of the people didn't go to watch the movie because they thought, well, they're going to reboot the whole universe, so I don't want to watch that now on cinema. How self-conscious were you when you're creating this universe that you didn't want or wanted to create something that people don't have to watch a ton of things just to understand one movie?
That's good. Yeah, yeah. I thought you were going somewhere else. I thought you were asking me about that time. That time was so difficult for me and Peter because we have these movies that are coming out from DC, and we're starting a new universe. Like, and it was like, what are we gonna do? It was very difficult. Anyway,
Let's talk about the future.
the future. Yeah, I want. It's very important to me that, especially in these first few projects, that you can watch Superman without having to watch the other things. You can watch Creature Commandos without having to watch them. You can watch the next season of Peacemaker without having to watch Superman, although it will be very helpful for Peacemaker fans to have seen Superman, but we have what happened in the previously section before. So I don't want to make it, it is always going to be more important for me, the story itself. So the movie should be as standalone as possible. Now, there's little fun things in there, Easter eggs, stuff that people don't know to get them more excited, to get more color to people who are the big fans. But I want, you to be able to take your mom and dad who aren't superhero fans and have them enjoy it.
Just going back to the quick questions, what was the most bizarre rumor that you heard about this project that was completely trash, completely untrue?
I mean, I heard forever that Brainiac was the bad guy in this movie. It was like accepted fact online, which was not true. It certainly wasn't the craziest, but yeah, there's been so many things about, yeah. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head, but because it's literally every day there's something, and there's a couple people out there, and I won't say their names because I don't want to give them the space, but like I know they just make stuff up. They have paywalls on their entertainment, and they're making money off of just making things up. Supposedly Hollywood people. It's really it's discouraging.
Well, we'll close out with this because you James, talked about today on the press conference how this movie is inspired by your relationships to comics back when you were a kid. It's the same thing with me. We didn't open Superman #1. We opened Superman number 19, and then we had to follow from there. I'm sure you guys read comics, did your research. So, and this is more for you two guys, David and Rachel. If this movie is, say, Superman 19, what do you want from Superman 20? The next chapter. What is it like?
Oh, I'm sorry to be boring, but that's sort of I'm on brand when I'm boring, aren't I? I don't think about that. I don't like to get my hopes up or get attached to something. And ultimately, anything that I might think up won't be as interesting or as exciting as what James will think up. So I asked you on the plane ride if you would tell me anything about this other thing that you're working on.
Yeah, he got upset.
I didn't get upset. I was
He was
very
very
cordial
upset.
about it.
He was very upset. He had a single tear roll down his eye because he was asking me what I was working on.
I heard them beating the shit out of each other in the bathroom, and I was
He
so
knows-
confused.
He knows that I'm working on something. He knows he's a part of it, and he doesn't know.
Does he
what
know?
it is.
Nothing else.
Literally nothing.
Nobody
else.
knows, only you.
Just this thing that you've said that it's
Michael knows.
Michael, come here. Come here, Michael.
Anyway, I'd like if there is a follow-up Superman movie, I would like to see, just as you said, a movie that feels Empire Strikes Back is always the sequel that I come back to because it's kind of the same thing where it's not that you need to have just watched Star Wars to start Empire Strikes Back. It just drops you in the middle of things in the way that this movie drops you in the middle of things where
With text in the beginning, actually. Yeah.
well, yes, and that helps a little bit, but the point is that you meet characters in a moment where you get to know something critical about them, and whether you know other stuff about them from the previous movie or not, in that first scene, you learn something important about them, and so you're on the ride whether you know what's going on or not. And I'd just be excited to see what that next thing of the character and the other characters, whoever will be in it, what that next important thing to explore will be.
Rachel, Superwoman.
hey, it's up to this guy. That would be fun. No, I just said I wanted an excuse to go to the gym. Everyone was in the gym and I had such FOMO. Everyone was working out with Paolo and talking about Paolo all the time and getting jacked. And I was like sitting there reading comics in my room alone. No, I feel exactly the same. Like, and this has been true for me through my entire career. Anytime anyone's like, what do you want to do next? Anything that I've ever said pales in comparison to what some brilliant creative comes up with. We're vessels for great storytelling. And so thankfully, that's not really our job. We get to fill out and flesh out whatever story lies ahead. And so I'm very happy to trust fall into these arms and see where these characters go. But I would like to go to the gym
And fly.
and fly. I only got to fly once.
Oh man, it's hard work, right? Flying.
Yeah.
Flying is really hard. I mean, we were really lucky with David because he's incredible for a theater kid. He's incredibly athletic, and it was because that was hard work, man. He worked so hard on those days of the flying.
Shout out to Moni Hakim, who teaches movement at Juilliard, and I worked it in. I was astonished.
We know you went
We weren't going to leave the interview without Juilliard.
I was astonished how much overlap there was. We spent all this time lying on floors in black tights at school, like raising one leg and holding it, and then
Where was
lowering it
that
and
again?
raising it
School?
and lowering it, and you thought, like, when is this ever going to be applicable? And it was all directly transferable. I imagine that Christopher Reeve must have had a similar experience. Just the core
Just,
strength.
he also went to
to
what school did you both go to
forgot.
again? Was it
Juilliard.
I do have to say, and I say this with so much love, there was one moment where, without giving it away, we were doing something with something that wasn't there. And it was my first time doing something with something that wasn't
We can
there.
say what it was. It was she's supposed to have crypto on her lap.
I was shooting with crypto, but
It's that
because of
picture that you just posted.
If there was a reality show called Finding the World's Worst Mime, we have a winner right here. We don't have to search.
I think we figured out what you can't do. I was like, this is great. And David's going, well, at Juilliard, we studied mime for the.
Yeah. He was,
Well,
he was rubbing it in. He was rubbing it in.
Between the two of them, I was like,
He was-
okay, you guys.
He was. I was just making jokes, but David was standing behind me, just like tisking
He
away.
was literally going like, we have other stuff to
yeah,
do
yeah.
today. I was like,
But
you guys have all been shooting with crypto for the
Well,
last.
let me show you what it's like. Let me show you what it's like with Rachel touching crypto on his lap. All right, so here you go. So you have a dog on your lap, and like this is what you're supposed to do. You pet an invisible dog. That's not that hard.
That's not what the scene is, James.
Okay, he jumps on your lap, and you're supposed to be working, trying to start
I'm
something
supposed
around.
to push him off.
You try to push him off, right? So you grab the invisible dog. You know where? See how I'm doing this? And you're trying to push him off, and he can't get off, and you're trying to push. But she's like, one push is like
No.
this, like she's mushing him into like a towel, like a sponge.
Simply not-
Another time, he's
Is she
like
strangling?
5 feet across, and she's like, other times it's like here.
Let me defend myself.
Her hands like going through crypto constantly. I'm like, oh my God, how am I gonna do this? So we had the real dog come in. Like the real dog,
It
the
helped.
dog was not meant to be a stand-in.
Like I said, the dog was too big, so I was still doing it wrong.
The dog is there for lighting reference.
You just posted a picture of this.
Yeah, I did. I just wasn't.
But I didn't actually shoot with him. We just practiced.
We shot with him.
You said he was too big.
Yeah, he is a little.
Listen,
he was
hold
a little
on.
too
Here's
big.
the thing. I also,
Jolie was a boy?
no,
No, Jolene's a girl.
I have the talking stick. In fairness, you didn't know right away, but that I had actually never seen the rendering of crypto. And so I was doing this with a dog I'd never seen.
Wait, are you telling me if you had seen the rendering of crypto,
Yes.
that this would have gone perfectly?
I'm going to go to Juilliard between movies.
You need to
Bring
take some
back.
summer classes at Juilliard.
As long as you're paying for them.
Dog petting lessons. Well, Rachel, look, you're so great in the movie. Don't worry about it.
She's great at everything else. She really is. She's great at everything. But she is awful at miming. I hope you never have to resort to like being a street mime.
I told you the next.
You're gonna be in a
when I
box.
come
And
back,
people are gonna be what?
I'm gonna do the best
Circle
mime. And
silent
Lois Lane movie coming.
Yes, that's her spinoff. It's black and white and nobody talks. She tap dances a little.
Well, you guys, this has been amazing, right? You guys did an amazing job with the film. Congratulations, and thank you for having us here, and thank you for coming to Brazil.
Thank you guys.
So good.
Very much.
We're happy. It's been such a great time being here. It's a lovely city. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, and hope to see you in December.
Oh yeah.